Hi, I'm Scott Davis. Welcome to New World Birth. By accessing this presentation, you're inviting me to share this information regarding our passage through this challenging and very hopeful time. This is the care and feeding of a New World Age report for the Gregorian date of April 28th, 2012, and one night in the Mayan Tzolkin calendar. We're also going to discuss the Scorpio full moon and Mercury moving into Taurus. April 28th is one night which carries the themes of dreams, transitions from light to dark and dark to light, starry skies, subconscious thoughts, the void where nothing exists but there is all potential, and the womb of creation, sanctuary, the underworld, stillness, introspection, dawn and dusk. The glyph for night is the owl, a creature of both the day and night. And the One Night Tzolkin is a great time to explore the dark parts in our lives and to realize that without darkness we can't see the stars. Astrologically, as the One Night Tzolkin begins, we have Saturn, and Pluto appearing to move in reverse motion from our perspective here on Earth. Venus is currently moving through its shadow phase in here. And it's been in the shadow phase since April 12th, and that it'll be there prior to turning retrograde on May 15th. And when we're looking at a retrograde cycle, it provides information about a correction to our present course. And there are two important points to be aware of in looking at this cycle. We look at the point where the planet begins to appear to move backwards, and also the point where it begins to appear to move forward again after its retrograde cycle. This first stage represents the shadow time between passing the point where the planet will eventually move forward again and the point where it slows and stops and then begins to move in reverse. During this first stage, we receive information about needing to make an adjustment in our direction in our lives. Venus will be in this first stage from April 12th to May 15th. The second stage is this retrograde phase, and this is a time where events occur related to the information we received during the first stage. And then the third stage begins when the planet starts moving forward again until it crosses this line, this degree, where it originally turned retrograde. During the third stage, we move forward with a revision to our previous course. Venus entered into this first stage on April 12th. So from now until May 15th, we're receiving information about an adjustment that needs to be made in our lives. Venus is retrograde from May 15th at 24 Gemini until June 27th at 7 Gemini, which will be a time when we will notice events that shift our thinking, and from June 27th until August 1st, we'll be in the third stage where we implement the change in direction that came from the awareness gained through this process. On June 5th or 6th, depending on your location on this planet, Venus will cross in front of the sun. And this will not occur again in any of our lifetimes. The next alignment where Venus will actually pass in front of the sun, like the sun would be here, and Venus will be able to see it as a shadow going across the sun. And there's lots of websites where you can look that up and be safe in your viewing. But anyway, when Venus will not cross in front of the sun until in any of our lifetimes, and this next alignment where it crosses in front of the sun will be in 2117. And I've posted a map on the New World Birth Facebook page showing the Venus transit, so and where it can be viewed throughout the planet. And I'll discuss more about this in future reports. Okay, April 28th is one night, which is about unity being experienced through contemplating the stars. And with the Cancer moon being challenged by Saturn, this can bring up feelings of isolation and loneliness. The 29th is two seed, which is duality experience through planting seeds and making new connections. On that day, the sun is is being supported by Pluto, which illuminates our inner worlds and brings to the surface our deep psychological forces to be investigated, integrated, and transformed. Uh, with the Leo second quarter moon on that day, it's being supported by Uranus and Mercury and challenged by the sun, which brings a day of shifting emotional energy, beginning with the desire for some excitement, and then later sort of a feeling of tension in our daily routine, and finally expressing our emotions to others. April 30th is 3 Serpent, which is about taking action to be flexible, with the moon in harmony with Venus and Saturn, and being challenged by Jupiter. The day starts with a generous social mood, and then later feeling calm and reflective. May 1st is 4 Transformation, which is stability through releasing what no longer serves us, with the Virgo moon being opposed by Neptune, merging with Mars and supported by Pluto and the sun. Brings a day where the emotional energy moves from confusion to irritability to increased sensitivity, and finally feeling more in harmony with yourself. And then on May 2nd, it's 5 Deer, which is about empowerment through being of service to others, with the moon being supported by Jupiter, while being challenged by Venus, brings a pleasant sense of well-being and affectionate feelings towards loved ones. The third is 6 Star, which is about being in the flow through being grateful for abundant relationships, and on that day, Mercury is in harmony with Venus, and that has our minds engaged in leisurely pursuits, with the Libra moon being opposed by Uranus and then later challenged by Pluto. The emotional energy goes from being impulsive and excitable, and then later brings up more compulsive behavior that is best handled by looking at your feelings honestly. May 4th is 7 Offering, which is about reflection through being appreciating creation, all of creation, with the moon being supported by Venus while being opposed by Mercury, and then later merging with Saturn. So the day starts with pleasant feelings and trying to balance moods with reason, but later can bring up feelings of loneliness and isolation. The 5th is 8 Dog, which is about balance through enjoying being with family and friends, with the Scorpio full moon being supported by Neptune in harmony with Mars and Pluto, opposed by the Sun, while Mercury is opposed by Saturn and Mars is opposed by Neptune and Chiron. This is a day of a great deal of tension and pressure to take action regarding our partnerships, with the potential to lash out while in a state of confusion. There's also a grand trine in Earth, which may keep people somewhat grounded despite the conflicts within our environments. Compassion will help us all navigate through this challenging full moon. And then on May 6th, the Tzolkin day is 9 Monkey, and this is about patience through creating new beginnings, with the moon being opposed by Jupiter, which brings benevolent and generous feelings as long as they are our choice and not the expectations of others. The 7th is 10 Road, which is about manifestation through serving your community, with the moon being challenged by Neptune and then later Mars, and while being supported by Uranus. The day starts with daydreamings and that seem more important than reality, and then shifts into irritability and the desire for some sort of emotional excitement. May 8th is 11 Read, which is about resolution through the blessings of home and family, with the moon being opposed by Venus and stimulated by Saturn and supported by Mercury. The day's emotional energies shift from a desire to for contact with others, to overindulgence, to wanting to be alone in our thoughts and feelings, then finally just feeling that our moods are in balance with our rational minds. So it kind of resolves to a good place. The ninth is 12 Jaguar, and this is about understanding through spending time in nature. Mercury moves into Taurus, which will give us a few weeks of more practical, stable, constructive communicating and thinking. And with the Capricorn moon harmonizes with Neptune, then challenged by Uranus, while being supported by Mars, and then later merges with Pluto, brings a day where emotions move from empathy for others to a fine line between asserting ourselves appropriately and jumping to conclusions, and then finally feeling our deepest emotions rise to the surface. May 10th is 13 Eagle, which is about moving to the next stage through seeing from a higher perspective. And Mercury harmonizes with Neptune, which stimulates our imaginations and our intuition, with the moon being supported by the sun and Jupiter and challenged by Saturn, which can influence us emotionally with pleasant interactions with others, then having a great sense of well-being, and then finally feeling just out of touch and a little blue. So anyway, cycles, circles, spheres, most of the information I present here is about things that are round. And One Night highlights this transition in cycles from our round planet as it rotates around its axis, giving the cycles of day and night, while orbiting around the larger sphere, which is our sun. At the height of Mayan civilization, they used about 17 different calendars, which only one was linear with a beginning and an end, and that calendar being the long count, which is made up of 360-day periods called tunes. Most of the world's spiritual traditions view time as a circle, or at least a spiral. In the Western view of time as a straight line, really with a mysterious beginning and a catastrophic end, has its roots in the Abrahamic religions. So the date of December 21st, 2012 becomes of great interest in the Western world, because it can be used to project an apocalyptic vision of an alien belief system onto the Mayan calendar. And the Maya actually don't even really follow the long count anymore. It's not part of their current consciousness. But it's interesting. The Maya have recorded dates that occur a long time after the long count's alleged end date. So, for instance, there's this date of 4772 that's recorded in the Temple of Inscriptions as a date when a particular king's dynasty will finally come to its resolution. So the long count's completion will mark a transition from the fourth world to the fifth world. That's what the long count was always about. And the long count represents the sixth level on the stele in Kobah, and also the national underworld in Calleman's model. And that picture of the stele is available on the New World Birth Facebook page. And I was in full agreement with Dr. Calleman up until October 28, 2011, when I felt the completion of the waves that his model described. Dr. Calleman and some of his followers felt that the waves were continuing, so the model that he had presented up until that point was altered to match what he was feeling. And as I've been describing, as I've been considering these two different representations of the long count, I began to realize that both the traditional long count, which has the end date of December 21st, 2012, and Calleman's model for the Tune calendar with the October 28th, 2011, that both of these could be actually correct, because I started thinking about this in relation to human design charts. And in a human design chart, the traditional data that comes from that's uh, over here in black. This traditional data represents what's called the personality, and it's also used by astrologers. And it's the data that comes from the moment a person is born. And then there's this other data over here in human design, and this data represents where the sun was 88 degrees before we were born, which is roughly about 88 or 89 days before the person was born, and it's represented in red, and it's called their design. And so we have these two streams of data in human design charts, and I've also posted my human design chart so that you can look at the two streams of data there in thinking about what I'm presenting here. So anyway, and that will be helpful if you're unfamiliar with this system. So when I was considering that there are these two streams of data in human design, and I started thinking about that there's two streams of data in this representation of the completion of the long count, one being Calleman's model ending in October 28th, 2011, the other being the traditional and more widely accepted viewpoint of ending in December 21st of 2012. I started thinking, well, that they both actually have validity and could be correct, and perhaps they're two streams of data that give us a deeper perspective than either one of them does in isolation. And it's interesting that the stele in Koba shows us these 9 levels of acceleration of consciousness, and it led me to consider, what would it mean if both these systems were correct? Well, given that these systems are separated by 420 days, I realized that the traditional date of December 21st, 2012 would also have a 9th wave universal cycle of its own, which would begin during the One Night Tzolkin, this current Tzolkin, on 5-year, which is May 2nd, and it's 234 days before December 21st, 2012, and the day of Furahao, which, by the way, is also represented right here on the stele in Koba. So what I'm sort of wondering about is whether this really that there's this energy that builds towards the birth of this 5th world on December 21st, 2012. So anyway, no matter whether there is an energy shift on during this one night Tzolkin, please just take some time to be in the flow with the planet by being in nature, watching a sunrise or sunset, communing with the stars, being conscious of the moment through introspection, meditation, or being with someone you love. Every day we have is a blessing, no matter what dramas beckon to distract us. We're all here giving a performance of our lifetime on this world stage. So take some time out to observe the play as well as act your part by remembering that you are a spiritual being having a human experience. Thank you. I want to thank you for checking out New World Birth. The next segment of Care and Feeding of a New World Age will be on May 11th. For One Wisdom, we'll also discuss the Gemini new moon and Venus turning retrograde and the obstacles to unity consciousness. It will be something I'm going to discuss. You can check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and the Mayan Magics website. I invite you to email me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you have any questions or wish to schedule a reading. I decided to continue my reading offer so you can still get a reading where you pay only what you can afford based on the value you get out of the experience. The reading I'm currently offering will look at your human design chart, one that looks like that, and so that you can understand how to use your own individual strategy and authority in making life decisions based on your own unique design. I'll also discuss the next 3 months of astrological transits as they relate to your natal and progressed astrology chart. So if you're thinking about taking me up on this special offer, please contact me, as I would like to provide you a reading during these uncertain times. And newworldbirth@yahoo.com is where to do that. You will need to be able to either call me in Maine in the USA, or we can connect with Skype to receive your reading. As my gift to you, I will email you a 20 to 30 page report giving you 3 months of detailed planetary transits as they relate to your birth chart for all paid readings. As always, I am truly blessed that you've taken the time to connect with my passion for these ancient mysteries and their application in our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste and Lakash.